Support for this episode of the PowerCast comes from Mark Bell's Slingshot. Check out the all-new website at howmuchyoubench.net. Bench heavy with no pain with Mark Bell's Slingshot. Apparel for strong people from our friends at 8manstrong.com. NaturalOrganics.com, the official home of Urban Ice Organics Kratom. Keep your mind and body synchronized. Head over to NaturalOrganics.com. That's NaturalOrganix.com. And Bodybuilding.com. Bodybuilding.com is the world's #1 fitness website and supplement store. Bodybuilding.com has free fitness plans for every fitness level. Visit Bodybuilding.com today to become your best self. Welcome to episode 165 of the PowerCast. This is just me and Mike and Mark talking about controversies related to drug test results and the action of a coaching group in response to having one of their athletes test positive. We talk about a rhino rant that it was particularly disgusting from Stan Efferding, and we talk about NFL preseason and a number of other things. Next week, episode 166 will mark the 3-year anniversary of the PowerCast, and we will have 2015 CrossFit Games winner Ben Smith and four-time World's Strongest Man Brian Shaw. Like this video and please share it and enjoy number 165.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sidelines Underpants. After 12 sets of 2 squats.
Recorded live at Super Training Gym in West Sacramento, California.
You wear underwear when you sweat?
This is Mark Bell's PowerCast.
Briefs.
Alongside Silent Mike
briefs.
and Jim
I actually just got some new underwear.
Here's your host,
Excited.
Mark Bell.
Got like a 3/4, I guess
Can I get a
capris.
hey now?
Guys call them 3/4, girls call them capris.
Men prees. Kind of.
Like that NBA guys wear them, so I figure I'll wear them.
They give you a little boost.
I don't know. They'll warm your knees and then like show out the bottom of your shorts a little bit.
They warm up your knees.
Yeah.
They go all the way. They go.
Yeah,
all the way-
3/4, all the way to half
oh.
shin. Half shin
Ah,
tights.
Those kind of undies.
Yeah. Half shin tights. They're probably meant to run in, but
Do you wear tighty whities over top?
no, I wear
go for
nothing on top and nothing on bottom.
Captain Underpants.
Yeah, they go to go for the look.
I think we talked about this on YouTube, but I do think it's weird when guys want to wear spandex in the gym. That's already weird. But when you want to wear spandex in the gym, long or short, and you wear underwear underneath,
yeah, it's
Yeah,
kinda
that
weird.
doesn't make
just
any
wear
sense.
shorts. Wear shorts or to wear nothing.
Yeah.
If you're going to go bulge out, be proud of your bulge. If you're going to cover it up, cover it up.
I think when they're wearing the underwear underneath, it's because they're stuffing, and if you just stuff spandex, then the sock will fall down.
Yeah, or you'll see the
I mean, I don't. This is what I heard.
you'll see the stripes on the
This is
athletic sock.
hearsay.
It looks pretty obvious, too.
Yeah.
You need to put a fake hole.
That's what I mean. Like, go with
junk.
the bulge, though.
Monster Energy drink would be perfect right down the old.
I
front
think
of the
that's a little
pants.
weird. Girls don't wear underwear underneath their spandex, I don't think. At least the girls we've interviewed so
I
far.
haven't investigated.
We
this.
have. We asked every girl here.
That's true. That's
They
true.
all-
yeah.
they've all
I was
said-
just trying to be on Andy's good graces.
Hang on, though. If they're wearing spandex, you can tell whether they're wearing underwear or not.
True,
There's,
true.
It's not a question.
True.
I mean,
Kind of see the whole picture. Right
Do you
in
see
front
the
of
hole?
isn't that the point?
you. I think so.
I thought that was the point.
It is the
that you
point.
don't have to wear underwear. It's like
That's why it's comfy, supposedly.
Yeah.
But
They don't
but,
have to no longer ask, how do I do this exercise? We're already looking at them, paying attention to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
well, it's like a sports bra. You don't wear a bra under your sports bra, right?
Makes zero sense. And they work out
Unless
in
you have
just a
huge
sports
tits.
bra.
Yeah.
Maybe you
Sometimes
go
there's
double
double-
sports bra. Yeah.
Sometimes there's doubling up going
Yeah,
on.
double sports bra.
On those double Ds.
It just doesn't make much sense to me. So I
I'm
got
not wearing
3/4. And I'm going to wear 3/4 and then shorts.
We
Seems
have a
good for
poop
the winter.
story to share with you guys. After,
not even ours.
After you guys got double James Smith to death. We'll talk about that a little bit later, too. But we had a great poop story from everybody's favorite guest, or just about everybody's favorite guest. Seems to be a little bit of a consensus that people love the rhino. So I'm going to pull up his... for those of you who don't know, Stan has been doing what he calls rhino rants. And he's got a YouTube channel. And he's picking up a pretty good following. He's got 16 rhino rants now, and this is part of number 16. And here we go.
When it comes to processed vegetable oils, I have an intolerance to vegetable oils, and it took me years of suffering to realize it. When I say suffering, that's because when I eat processed vegetable oils, I get terrible digestive problems. Now, this may be too much information, but it gives me explosive diarrhea. And this isn't the casually walk to the bathroom diarrhea. This is the I drank tap water in Mexico, Montezuma's revenge style. sprint past Usain Bolt at full speed to the bathroom while simultaneously maxing out on the Kegel exercise, or there's going to be a real problem type of diarrhea. The kind where you hold on to the handicap rails while your feet are levitating off the ground. The kind that absolutely requires a shower afterwards, along with some Comet and a toilet brush. And don't even think of lighting a match, or the whole house will go up in flames. Now, I hope that wasn't too much detail.
Very descriptive, but we have a new way of describing that nowadays. It's just a Dumb and Dumber shit.
Oh yeah.
Remember when he sprints to the and then she knocks on the door. She's like, "I hope you're not using the toilet." And he's got his pants around his ankles, and both his feet are sticking out straight, like he's on a recliner.
So
and
gross.
he's just profusely sweating. That's the worst part about shitting like that, is that you're like actually kind of sick.
Yeah, you feel sick.
Yeah.
It's not like
that sweaty.
Yeah,
and,
cold sweats.
Yeah.
you can't really recover from it that quickly.
No. And then you're if you're around a meal, you're not hungry for like 3 hours.
Yeah. The worst though is when you're racing to a bathroom, and unfortunately, it's probably going to be a public bathroom,
Yeah.
right? And the one stall that's open, the guy that's coming out of it says, "There's no toilet paper in there."
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah, then
actually happened to me a couple of days ago.
I'd be pissed.
Then you're really screwed. Then that's when you just double over in pain and
like,
cry on the ground.
okay.
Why me? Why
Okay.
me?
Okay, I have to think of something else right
You
now.
know, in the airport, sometimes you can find those family bathrooms. I knock those up sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, creep into the
Yeah.
one stallers.
And then there's like 3 babies outside crying after you took a big dump.
I understand the
Sorry, you don't want to go in there for
Yeah.
25, 30.
Yeah, I understand the capacity and all that, but otherwise, like, why don't we only have one stallers?
Yeah, I know.
It's so much better, so much more convenient, so much more relaxing.
The YouTube space in LA, the bathroom, they have one big bathroom downstairs, and they're all individual stalls.
Nice.
Some of them say men, some say women, some don't say anything at all. Everybody uses the same sink.
What
You're
I'm
like,
picturing
why isn't
is-
it like that?
Yeah, I'm picturing more of like a dressing room. You walk in, but then it's like little rooms.
Oh yeah.
I guess some fancy restaurants might have that.
You ever walk
sometimes.
into those bathrooms where it's there's like a mirror, like a mirror that you can see through both ways.
Yeah.
And then you're like at the sink and you're like looking at girls.
Downtown.
weird.
Downtown Sac, there's one.
You like walk
Really?
in.
It's
and you're
inside
like,
a club in Mahjong's
like, why
and
is
the
there
park.
chicks there?
Oh,
So
okay.
the pooper's like
So
secret,
confused.
but then you go to wash your hands, and it's like me and Jim are looking at each other, and there's a mirror
a
in
wall.
between, and the sink's coming out. It is weird.
It's really strange. You think you walked in the wrong bathroom.
Yeah. Scares you for a
You're
second.
like, oh, I'm a perv.
Yep.
Walked in the wrong.
She just smelled my farts.
Yeah, walked
Oops.
into the wrong thing.
Yeah, hopefully that thing's smell proof.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So we got a couple things to talk about.
Smelly's
here
got the
today on
drama.
podcast.
This
We
is
got-
welcome to the TMZ version of the PowerCast.
Yeah.
We got shit going on, folks.
Well,
With all these steroid users
yeah, everybody's using all
using
this shit.
steroids,
Well, we saw something pop up from our boy Bryce Lewis, our
who just
homie.
pulled like 800 pounds a couple weeks ago. What the fuck?
Yeah, and he's benching over 500 pounds in training.
Squatted 7.
Yeah, squatted 7.
now this was Bryce's
numbers.
statement, but I pulled it up off of Hani's.
We'll have you read it,
Facebook.
James, since you're the only one that can read.
Okay. It came to our attention a few weeks ago that one of our athletes had failed their in-meet drug test at a USAPL competition.
Cheater.
Every athlete that comes to us signs a code of ethics in their contract that includes, quote, "I will follow the letter and the spirit of the organizations where I compete, remain drug-free, show grace in both winning and losing, take responsibility for my actions, communicate openly and honestly, and display professionalism as a representative of TSA and the natural community," which means they don't shave downstairs.
No showers.
No deodorant.
Unfortunately, in this situation, the code was breached and the athlete wasn't open and honest with us until it was too late, quote, our parenthetical after the failure. We respect and agree with the USAPL's decision to suspend this athlete for 4 years, by the way. This athlete's contract with TSA has been voided as well. We continue to support the USAPL's efforts to promote drug-free powerlifting.
Before we get into the ethics or our thoughts, Mark was joking when he says cheating, but in my opinion, that is the definition of cheating. You can take it whatever you want, but you can't compete in a sport or a league or a federation where that's not allowed. Right?
There's other federations to go to. In this case, this is the ultimate form of cheating because there are other options. There
Right.
are other places for for you to go to.
Not right or wrong, but why don't you go to the SPF, or why don't you go to the USPA, or why don't you go to the IPA, or where IPA, there's everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of other options.
Now, I'm not going to try to speak for the athlete, but what I did read in his comment was that it was months before, and he didn't think that he would get popped. However,
But that's what everybody thinks, right?
However, apparently the USAPL, when you sign up for membership, asks you to certify that it's been 3 years at least since you've used anything.
Which off air we were talking about, which is weird too. I've heard Alberto Nunez and some other guys talk about natural bodybuilding and where to compete and how to compete. And different federations will have rules like that, where it's lifetime drug free, it's 3 years drug free,
right.
It's drug free besides pro hormones, it's drug free besides this, and it's 5 years, and it gets too complicated.
I think some of them use lie detector tests.
Yeah. Lisa, our friend that actually brought Dear Silent Mike to our table.
Mm-hmm. Some of you know her as Sundress.
Yeah, the Sundress dropper. She said she had a lie detector at a bikini competition.
Yeah. I mean, that would never hold up in court most of the time.
At least it's some form of testing.
Yeah.
They're trying, I guess.
At least, and that's something they can use on each person, right?
Because you can't test whatever.
Inexpensive.
Can hair follicle stuff? I know this will cost too much. I know hair follicle, they can do like alcohol up to a year or two, or pot.
Cocaine.
Yeah, can they do steroids in hair follicle?
I don't think so.
We're going to need 3 of your pubes.
Sir, I'm bald. Top to bottom.
Yeah, you got to have to pluck out your beard.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know how. I don't know
either.
Be.
I don't know any of that.
It's the whole thing's it's a very interesting topic, and it's clearly they took their time to write the message out, and it was well thought out message. The main thing I have the biggest problem with is at the very end, where it says they continue to support drug-free powerlifting. There's just no such thing. Like, honestly, like let's just take that off the table. There is no such thing as drug-free powerlifting.
There's no such thing as drug-free anything.
Maybe you could say steroid-free. I mean, maybe
I don't even think so. I think you say drug-tested. Actually,
drug-tested.
All these things are TMZ episode. It's like the universe aligned. Because our boy Omar just did a video a couple days ago about how every federation is drug-tested and none of them are drug-free.
Right.
Yeah, and I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
On the show.
Yeah, and that's the premise of Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Yeah, I actually just posted
that could be a movie.
Posted an article from Vice about mountain climbing, PEDs and mountain climbing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't they use something?
They use Diamox, which is a corticosteroid that keeps your brain from swelling and your lungs from filling with fluid and all that stuff.
Or any kind of endurance stuff, or even muscle, right? It's like a strength to body weight ratio kind of.
If I was going to climb a mountain, I'd be EPO fucking all day, every day.
I'd be taking like a spider fucking something so my hands get sticky.
That's an interesting point. Like something like EPO, we don't really know powerlifters necessarily that take EPO, that have experimented with EPO, which is basically gives you tons of stamina, tons of wind.
Yeah, but who's to say it wouldn't help? If you could get more workload in.
It would help tremendously because you could come off of a set of 6 or 8, where your RPE is 7 or 8, and you could recover that much faster.
Your work capacity could be up day to day, minute to minute, and possibly week to week.
Well, as a bigger athlete that's handling more weights, you're no longer out of breath after hitting a max set of 3.
Some steroids are blood builders. We know that. So they more red blood cells. The same thing.
More
the EPO
nutrients
does.
to your muscle. Yeah.
Right.
Same thing. EPO.
It's interesting. In that same in the same week span, I believe Dana Lynn Bailey, who competes in the IFBB, which I think is drug tested. Right. But the IFBB is typically known as somewhere that steroids is involved.
Yeah.
Maybe you could Google it, Jim, see if the IFBB, what they test or if they're tested.
I think if they do test, it's mainly for like diuretics. Because
but they call themselves drug tested.
Yeah, they've had complications of people getting very, very sick and actually in some cases people dying.
Yeah, so she's a
diuretics are severe.
She's a pro in this federation. She's also was a champion in this federation. Which I think is drug-free. Anti-doping, we'll see right now. But then she's going to compete in the USAPL.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's somebody that's been under fire for years. People have said for years that they think she takes stuff. And every comment all the time, whenever she posts anything, she's a friend of ours, and just like Bryce, this has nothing to do with our
report the news
and our friendship with these people. They're great people. And if Dana Lynn Bailey tells me she's clean, I don't care. I'm going to believe it because why not?
Yeah.
She's a friend of ours. She's somebody that we trust, somebody that we've known for a long time.
Yeah, and we don't care either way.
And now the fact that she's going into the USAPL, it's going to make people think, well, shit, man, maybe she's been telling the truth the whole time. And if she goes through and competes and does well and continues to not test positive. I saw a funny picture yesterday. It said hanging around with people that are positive, and it's a picture of
Steroids.
it was a picture of Brock Lesnar and Bones Jones.
Yeah, who just got caught.
Just tested
That's
positive.
very funny.
I'm trying to figure out, just looking at it says that they're
Prohibited
a signatory
list.
to
There we go.
WADA. There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
But in regards to the statement, and that's kind of my main issue with it, is just saying, that is drug free. I think that's just a stretch.
Yeah.
I know what they're trying to say, and I know what they're trying to establish. And for newer lifters and for younger lifters out there that are trying to get into powerlifting, and they may see some of these huge lifts done by other lifters, and they may see an intensity and ferociousness from some of these lifters that they've never seen before. Somebody deadlifted 900 pounds for reps, or doing somebody bleeding while they're squatting, and some of these things might not be appealing to somebody who's new, and they might not understand or grasp it, but they probably have a decent idea that the person is probably using some sort of performance enhancing drugs to be able to perform like that and act like a fucking animal like that.
Yeah, there's a different look. There's kind of a different vibe.
And so therefore they're like, oh, well, I'm going to look around and see, there's got to be something different to join, right? There's got to be some other organization to pair up with. And that's when they stumble upon quote unquote drug-free powerlifting. And that's when they're like, okay, well, now at least I have a fair shot of being compared to other people. What they don't realize is you still don't have a fair shot, because there's no such thing as drug-free, first of all. Secondly, the USAPL IPF is the most competitive federation that there probably is.
And only getting more competitive by the day.
And time and time again, the all-time world records are being broken by people that compete in the IPF and USAPL. So that's when you got
Ray Williams.
Yeah, you got Ray
Jesse
Williams.
Norris.
Yeah, they're starting to hit some of these all-time.
John Hack might get into the mix of an all-time. I think he totaled close to 17 or 18 at a 181.
Right. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it makes you scratch your head, because you're like, okay, powerlifting's been around for, let's just say, competitively for 40 years.
Yeah.
And let's say that people have really, stepped on the quote-unquote stepped on the gas really hard over the last maybe 20 years to break some of these records. And now someone's going to come in and be drug-free and break somebody else's record after they've been training for 20 years, 10 or 20 years.
I think the only argument...
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the only argument against that, and it's impossible to prove, is, someone from the IPF world would say, oh, well, the sports...
training's more sophisticated.
Well, I wouldn't
Shut
even...
up.
I wouldn't even believe that one. What they would say is... they would say that, but I don't believe it. Our
temp selection spreadsheet's better.
Joey Lee's getting pissed over there behind the camera.
She's going to start using her karate on us.
That the pool is growing because the sport's getting more popular, and then that the genetic genetics that are coming into the sport are greater. But in my argument, the genetics that are coming into the people that choose to do steroids and the people that choose not to do steroids would both be greater. Right. It's not just all the genetic freaks show up at the IPF.
Right. Yeah, true. And there's more people involved, so therefore there's better people.
I was actually looking at the qualifying totals for the USAPL Nationals, and I don't know how the other branches of the IPF work, but I remember looking at them like a year or two ago, and I was like, this is stupid. Like, I wouldn't even want to go to Nationals because like I'll get there on a push-pull. Like, it was that stupid.
Too low.
It was like 1,200 pounds or something. And because they had an influx of members and it got ridiculous, I think they had 1,800 people compete at Nationals or something last year, which is cool and dumb at the same time.
Yeah.
They did raise the total significantly. They're not elite, but they're still like, I would have to kind of show up to do it. Like, it would be cool.
Yeah.
I think it was about 1,500.
And then within your weight class, it gets to be pretty wild, though, right?
Once you get to Nationals, it's over. 1,500 pound total, I think, or so for the 231 class, which isn't world shattering, but it's legitimate. And the guy that
Lane Norton, what did he told?
I was going to say the guy that won the 231s. I forgot who it was. It might have been Eli Burke. What you got, Joey Lee? IPF Queen. Is it Eli? Maybe I'm wrong. And he
Sounds about right.
He probably told about 1,800, 1,900. So it's in there.
And the next guy up was probably Dennis Cornelius, right?
No, I think he's 264.
Oh, okay.
Next guy up is the homie. Sorry, dude, I forgot your name. He's in LA. He's a TSA guy. whatever. But then, so I think Lane totaled about 17, low 17s when he won, and that was at 205.
Yeah.
And the 205 qualifying's about 1450 or 1400.
Yeah.
You know, so at least it's in there.
Yeah.
So
I guess some of our point is that some of these guys, they're highly competitive. I mean, they're not going to compete.
Ridiculous.
They're not going to compete with Andrei Milanichev. They're not going to be able to compete with Eric Lillibridge.
But who's to say Ray Williams couldn't
But
if he
Ray-
wanted to
yeah.
wrap his knees?
Yeah, Ray Williams. Yeah, right. Like,
You know?
like in terms of one lift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
The
in
other
terms
two
of
are a
the
bit
total.
behind. Yeah.
So IFBB seems to be a signatory to WADA, so same prohibited list, but I don't know what they really test.
Right. So they
that's-
said,
it's
but
not
they
real
said
clear.
WADA. They said
WADA.
and WADA's
So does CrossFit.
yeah, I was going to say, so is CrossFit. I think USAPL
Yeah.
kind of all go by the exact same rules.
Yeah.
But so do the Olympics, at least our Olympics, right? And U.S. Olympics.
Yeah,
And post-Olympics, more lists come out weekly of people that they caught.
Yeah.
Like first there's the banned list before the Olympics.
And
then
the
there's
Olympics, you know, they add drugs all the time to the list.
yeah.
So when the records were broken, when some of those drugs, including steroids,
Yeah.
weren't banned, and before steroids were illegal,
There was some.
you know,
it might have
like
been.
there was records being set then, and it's not like they took them away.
Yeah.
They left them the way they were, and then now they're getting beat by. Just think about it. They're getting beat by people that aren't taking anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't think so.
Is it
I think it's
Sharapova?
possible.
Is that the blonde tennis player?
Who was taking the cardiac drug? That's
Something like
supposed
that.
to be
But it was-
performance enhancing. Had not been, and then it was.
Yeah. So she's taking some kind of drug, whatever it is, and it's totally legal.
Right.
And she's taken it for like her entire career, and it's supposed to be some kind of mild endurance helper or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, they flip the switch. Early the spring of 2016, say, hey, this thing's banned. So then she gets caught because
Right.
she's been taking it her whole entire career. But like, when do they even say like, oh, this helps too much? What's that line of
Yeah.
help? Nope, this helps you 2%. This
See, in
thing's out.
swimming, I believe they did this in swimming when Speedo made a
Yeah.
suit that clearly made you swim a
The
lot
jet
faster.
suit or whatever it is.
It was a huge advantage, but like why? But even with that, why? Like who care? Who care? Like you want to see people swim fast,
Yeah.
and you want to see people swim faster, not slower. And so if people swim faster, then their main argument was like, oh, the suit's too expensive. It's unfair for some other. What? Who the fuck cares about that?
Yeah, find some funding. So you can't go back to say like, these guys' training facility sucks.
Right.
Their training facility is nicer. I'm like, that's just how it
It's
goes.
not a level playing field.
Swimming's
I mean,
expensive
never is.
anyway. I mean, the complexes that they swim in are multi-million-dollar complexes
Right.
all the time. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, Brazil's swim team didn't get that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to figure out some of these.
They did get a
advantages
nice
and
wax
disadvantages.
job.
Yeah.
However,
They're probably the
Before
best,
they hit the
best
pool.
shaven team.
That's kind of like the toilet you were talking about. You get in those stirrups.
You get a wax, you get a wash, you get a clean wipe.
it's like putting your ass through the car wash.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I really think somebody should pick that
Somebody.
up. What's a
finished it
toilet-
off a little shine. At the
Yeah,
end.
what's that toilet company we could approach with this?
I don't know. Did you see the toilet seat that weighs you while you're pooping to see how much you?
That's
you-
cool.
Yeah, somebody posted
weighs
that
your
to us.
poo?
I have
Weighs you while you're pooping. To
Everyone
see
keeps-
if you weigh
It's a
less.
before and after.
Everyone
Yeah.
keeps tagging us in a lid, and you buy the lid probably by itself on Amazon. You put it on; it's like a wood lid or
Yeah.
a seat, and
Yeah.
it's like heated. It's
Yeah,
fucking-
I have a lid like that.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's nice.
It's not that expensive.
Yeah. Everyone keeps tagging us in it. Like, oh,
Yeah,
you need this.
Well,
The
it's like
lid's-
the squatty potty is cheap too.
The
Yeah.
lid is crazy though, because like you go anywhere near it and it starts like functioning, like it just
Censored. Yeah.
yeah, like the lid pops up and it almost starts talking to you.
I just remember watching MTV Cribs.
It's weird.
MTV Cribs as a kid, and the bathrooms were always the weirdest things. Like they'd have a gold phone on the side, and like a TV, and like the toilet's made out of gold.
The
4K my toilet.
the toilet. I think it's 24K.
24K my toilet.
24K. It's a Rick Ross song. The toilet cleans itself, so when you're done taking a
Yeah,
shit,
that's
it
nice.
closes the lid and goes.
That's nice.
Sprays some fancy smelling whatever the hell.
That'll be everybody soon.
Yeah, and then it just pops back up. But I mean, when I say it's not expensive, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's not like a few $1,000s or anything.
Yeah.
It's a couple $100, I think.
Reminds me of those big, the big public toilets.
Yeah,
Like
self-wash.
Yeah, they have them in San Francisco. I know they have them in London and stuff too. Where you when you're done, you close the door and the thing just.
Some of those public toilets are great. You can flush anything down it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can flush a phone book down with that damn thing.
Speaking of being able to, slightly off topic, but you guys know Chris Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, last week, maybe it was week before last. I think it was last week. His toilet, like in his hall upstairs outside his kid's bedroom, it was clogged, and then the flapper didn't close.
No.
Oh,
It flooded his whole freaking house.
dang.
$30,000 worth of damage at least.
Because of a pooper.
Yeah.
Someone's big shit.
Yeah.
What we didn't, back to these drugs, what we didn't talk about is the USAPL has rules. Jim already mentioned when you sign up, you're supposed to be 3 years drug-free. They also have rules that who knows how well enforced they are or not. That if you... I don't know the specifics, so don't quote me, people. But something to the nature of if you train with, coached by, even go to seminars of
Right. Like
what they did with Ed Cohn.
athletes that have been
banned for life.
Yeah, have been caught positive with using these performance-enhancing drugs by WADA, that you yourself may be banned by the IPF. So in both cases of kind of the Bryce Lewis coaching thing, maybe it's a personal thing to try to watch his back because I know his goal is probably an IPF championship, which I have a strong feel that he'll get this year. Also with the Dana Lynn Bailey and the IFBB, that's why I kind of brought that up. Not saying she takes or doesn't take. Say she's 100% clean, but she's associated with this organization that is not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Or her coach is not.
And with TSA, too, I mean, those guys all gals all still compete, too. Right. Same thing with 3DMJ. And I think that I read that the morals clause, the ethics clause that they have everybody sign came from 3DMJ.
Bryce roots are with Alberto and Chris Helms and everybody, so I assume so.
It might make sense from a business standpoint just for him to keep everything, the same way. So, okay, well, the USAPL follows these rules. That's where we compete, and let's just follow those rules. That way things don't get sticky and weird. Because if we lose somebody because they test positive, I can't associate with them anyway.
I think powerlifting is a little bit...
have it in the contract.
I think powerlifting is a little bit different. Talking to Alberto and Chris Helms, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they're super cool with us. Obviously, super training. Eric, I don't know why. Chris Helms is the fucking Thor, right? That's so bad. Eric, my bad, bro. That they, I think, made a...
what's Thor's name?
It's Chris Helms, isn't it?
No,
Hemsworth.
Oh, Chris Hemsworth and then Eric Helms. That's so bad. I can't get that blonde sexiness out of my head.
Goddamn. He's jacked.
Yeah, he's super jacked. I think that as a natural bodybuilding company, that they had to put their foot down because bodybuilding, that kids, like Mark said, looking up, there is no other way. Like, you only see IFBB, and their goal was like, no, there is another way if you choose. Not that they're against steroids, but in powerlifting it is different because I feel like there's always been guys that just lifted as powerlifters. There's never been guys that have competed as natural bodybuilders because people didn't even know it existed.
Right?
Yeah. So that's why they stomped their foot down in bodybuilding.
It's still not all that much on the radar.
Natural bodybuilding is a tiny little thing that got a little bit popular through YouTube, and that's it.
Right.
And these guys put their foot down. Where putting your foot down in powerlifting is a little different, maybe because everybody lifts for strength. Like, you see pictures of Dwight Howard deadlifting and shit.
Though, the most popular powerlifters and the most popular form of the sport is still from guys that take stuff.
It's gonna be the top.
People would rather see somebody deadlift 900 rather than 600. I don't think, it's. I mean, people kind of pick whatever they want to pick. IPF Worlds and stuff like that is highly competitive, and it's, and IPF and USAPL, they have big representation. They have a lot of lifters in it. But another federation comes along and says, hey, we're not going to have drug testing. We're going to just kind of do things this way. This is the way we're going to run things. And immediately, within a few years, they have more or the same amount of membership, the USPA, as the USAPL. Probably more. They probably basically took that market over, and there's a lot of reasons for it because it's people. I think people don't mind kind of picking and choosing. And when you go to a meet locally, if you're a 181 pound guy, more than likely you're not going to have 5 guys in your weight class that weigh 181 that are taking shit.
Yeah.
There might be at a local meet. There might be a handful of guys that take stuff. There's probably a lot of guys that don't.
Especially
I would
now
say
that
I would say the
popular.
majority of people at a powerlifting meet don't take anything, especially the people participating in the meet, because there's a lot of new people that are getting on the platform. So it's not even anything to really even worry about when you're a newer lifter. I think that people are hoping to get on this level playing field. And like I said, it doesn't make sense for many reasons. It's not drug-free. And even if you think it's drug free, the playing field that you're dealing with when you go to a USAPL meet, once you get past a local competition, the level of competition just gets to be fucking really stiff anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why people want, like, they use that term, and we talk about weight cuts and stuff. People are like, oh, I'm more competitive here, or I want to be competitive there. Like, the truth is, you're not competitive.
Right.
If you have to think
Like Jesse Norris totals 2,000 pounds, or like who else is going to do that? Like, that's not competitive.
If you have to think about it that way, you're already out of the game.
Yeah, like Dan Green doesn't think like, oh, I'm more competitive at 220. He just took the 242 record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because competitive is such a loose term.
Right.
Like, okay, maybe you'll come in 10th instead of, are we down? No.
No,
I thought we had
it's
issues.
just the monitor. I don't know what it's doing.
If you come in 10th at nationals instead of 12th at nationals based on weight class,
Right.
is that competitive?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think so. Like, who cares who what everyone else is doing?
Yeah.
Like, I know that's easy to say and harder to do, but who cares who the other thing with powerlifting and weightlifting too is you can't decide who shows up at a meet.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You can't, like, I could go to any meet like, fuck yeah, I'm going to win this meet. I know, and then Jesse Norris shows up and I lose.
Nobody wants to kind of hear the truth. If you're a guy and you're not squatting over 7, whether it's knee sleeves or not, and you're not benching over 5, and you're not, obviously your weight would matter, and you're not pulling close to 800 pounds, no one fucking cares.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not on top. You're not close to being on top. And I would be in that category as well. That there's some strong ass fucking people out there
that people don't even know.
And drug tested or not, those are still the sought after numbers. And if you're a girl and you're not pulling over 400 pounds, you're not benching over 200 pounds, and you're not getting close to a 400 pound squat, you're not doing shit either. It's like, sorry, like it might be mean or whatever, but that's the whole basis of Power Magazine.
Yeah.
When I looked at Powerlifting USA years ago, I was like, this magazine's fucking bullshit. Why does it have the 41st best girl in the world in the 165 pound weight class? It gives a fuck about her. Let's talk about people that are on top and talk about what they're doing.
Well,
or people that are at least closer to getting to the top.
I think that your point is kind of like if people have been in the sport for a while and they just make the qualification for a national meet or whatever, their motivation is different than the people at the top,
Right?
Because they're not going to win.
Right.
Yeah. They may or may not be in the mid pack. They're competing against themselves for sure, and it's expensive to go to these meets.
Right.
So their motivation is just entirely different.
Yeah.
They're in a different class.
Absolutely. And if you think like what I'm saying too is not to say that no one else should feel good about their PRs, because that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying you're not nearly as competitive as you fucking think you are.
Yeah, just don't use the word competitive.
And you should be competing against yourself. So where you actually compete should not matter too much. You should find a home that you like, find a federation that you like, and just stick with it. If they're being a pain in the ass and you don't like some of the different things they're doing to you as a lifter, and you want to just concentrate on lifting, then find somewhere that allows you to do that.
Yeah, and I think that also it depends not just on the federation, but like who's running the federation in your area too. Because you could have a good federation but shitty meet directors in your area,
chairman,
and have a bad experience.
Right.
Yeah, it's all a little weird because if you powerlifting's still so separated and so spread out that. Even if you compete at the same meet all the time, which a lot of guys are do, like let's use our example, right? Like Jesse Burdick puts on good meets. Jesse Burdick is close, so a lot of our guys compete there.
Right.
Marcus is eventually going to smash a huge total and get recognition for it, even though this meet, it's a state SPF.
Right.
No one gives a fuck what the actual meet is. But Jesse puts on a good meet. It's local, and Filipino Thunder is going to smash a total there within the next 2 years.
It'll be fun. He'll be safe.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to put together a good total. He'll have the best chance to put together a good total, and
it'll count all the same.
Right.
Yeah.
I think again, like the drug tested thing. It's too hard to even verify, what performance enhancing really is. Because there's so many different drugs out there. Who's to say that pot isn't? Like, someone might say, "Oh, dude, no, I just take that because it helps me go to
sleep.
It helps you go to sleep
or eat."
Oh, sleep's not a huge part. Sleep's not a huge part of recovery. Yeah. Like, oh, I just take it after my workouts. Or, what if taking a Aleve or Advil? Like, what if that is within the rules? But then what if somebody decides, you know what? If when I take 1 or 2, then I don't really feel a whole lot when I'm competing, and it feels good. But if I take 20 of them, I feel nothing. And I can fucking plow through the meat, and I can lift like a maniac. Then that's when people start to scratch their head, and they go, oh, well, wait a second. But it's still within the rules, So there's a lot of there's just a lot of red tape associated with a lot of it. Somebody takes a pill or pops something that people don't know much about. It could be an herb. Who knows what it is? It could be a form of tea or of some weird kind. There's always going to be people trying to find something that's going to give them a boost, and to try to verify exactly where you're getting the boost from is too hard.
WADA test for marijuana, I'd imagine.
As far as I know, yeah.
So marijuana is obviously federally illegal still, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's legal in some states and medically in many states. Right. But I would agree the same, that if it helps you relieve stress, okay, well, stress is a huge factor in recovery. All right, so there's a benefit. It helps you eat. All right, well, like Mark said, eating and sleeping is a big benefit in your recovery. But you don't hear... And you do hear how common it is in bodybuilding and powerlifting for guys to smoke pot. Well, it's just common in general, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's just a common drug in our society today. But I've never really heard of a powerlifter or bodybuilder getting popped for pot. Like, I wonder if they actually do test it. Even though I think it is on the ban list.
Probably not.
Yeah, it is for competition unless you have a therapeutic use exemption.
So I think in the NBA, maybe USAW, which I think's WADA, but it might be different. And NBA, NFL, stuff like that, there's like different dosages and shit.
Yeah, allowed
limits.
levels.
Yeah, there's allowed levels for off-season and on-season, which seems ridiculous too. So like maybe off-season you could smoke pot every day. During season you can only smoke it once a week or some shit, or amounts or whatever.
But does it like the USAPL
so weird
banned list marijuana as something that got anybody banned?
Has it ever? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
That's
either.
a good question.
Because you'd imagine... Or cocaine or whatever it is.
I don't want to throw shade on anybody, but I think if you ran through some of the coaching organizations with a marijuana test, you might come up with some positives.
Everybody smokes pot. Everybody in the world.
I remember, Sugar Ray Leonard. I think after his career, he said, "Oh yeah, for most of my career, I was, snorting cocaine." And then there's also Lawrence Taylor. You ever see the way Lawrence Taylor played the game? You ever see anybody move quicker than Lawrence Taylor on a fucking football field? Holy shit, man. Was he a fucking wrecking machine? But, I mean, clearly these things are enhancing their performance. And just because they're not categorized as such, that's just the way it goes, I guess,
Yeah.
I had a, not so much a roommate, but like a living room squatter way back in the day when I was at Long Beach State, who was a musician. And
living room squatter.
Living room squatter, yeah.
Squats.
He would
come back to squats.
he would go to these late night jazz clubs, the after hour jazz clubs in Hollywood, and play jazz. He was a trumpeter, and he said he took basically amphetamines because he couldn't keep up with everybody if he didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's performance enhancing.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was scouring the internet the other day, and I also stumbled upon an interesting total that somebody did. My best total as a raw powerlifter is 1901. I did that in 275-pound weight class. But this lifter totaled 1920. And the way that he did his total was with a squat, with an overhead press, and with a deadlift. And I'm talking about Burley Hawk, who weighs he weighs like 380 pounds. He's a big fucking guy.
He's totaled 2320?
Yeah, like 2320. Yeah,
something like that in reps.
He's off the map. Like, people don't really know anything about him.
Yeah.
They don't talk about him much. He did a meet or two with West Side. He got popular for about 60 seconds, and then he was kind of in and out of West Side.
Just in the middle of nowhere, Ohio or Kentucky.
He's pulling mid-eights. He's doing pull-ups for 15 reps and stuff.
I've heard he weighs close to 400.
Check this shit out
and he's not fat. He's just fucking big. And
he's at 390. Yeah, so he is almost 400
I think
pounds.
it was...
That's pretty insane.
I think it was Brandon Lilly who just said, like, he's never really seen anything like it before with just the level of strength the guy has. But I think he's pulling mid-eights. He's I saw him bench 575 for triple.
What's his best bench in a meet? I think closer to 650, I think.
I think he might have done 620 or 650. You might be right, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's low sixes.
And then he's also, just routinely squatting over 800 pounds. So he's a beast. I don't know when he's scheduled to compete, but I hit him up and said, hey, I'd love to get you out here on the podcast and share your story with people. So, start making people know what the fuck it is that you're you're doing. I also got a hold of Dave Hoff because he's another lifter that's like kind of forgotten about. And I'd like to kind of shed some light on some of these lifters. Just because somebody's lifting in powerlifting gear doesn't mean they're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe we can convince Hoff to do a little bit of raw work here.
Yeah, and he's benched over 1,000
he's
pounds.
Strong.
He's been a part of Westside Barbell for a long time.
He's incredibly funny.
He's the second lifter ever to go over 3,000
Yeah.
pounds, or whatever people want to say about the squats or whatever.
Yeah, who cares?
He's actually, in my opinion, one of the better benchers of all time when it comes to being able to hammer out some of the kind of cleaner lifts. But there's just a lot of, I don't know what the fuck's going on with powerlifting right now, but there's a lot of mutants out there. Dennis Cornelius is another guy that, like, for some reason, just you don't hear anything about. We did something.
He's USAPL.
Yeah, we did something on. Hyphen Smith is a guy. He came over to our booth. I don't know if you remember Mike at like Arnold.
I saw him probably.
Just a huge guy. Again, guy is squatting over 8, benching over 5, routinely deadlifting over 8, and nobody knows anything about anything he does.
With our boy JP Price, kind of came out of nowhere. First American to walk out a 1,000-pound squat. Walk out or not, like if you want to give he squatted a fucking 1,000 pounds. I think he benches 6. He benched 606, and then pulled 7 something. But he. It's not like he's been around. I mean, maybe he has, but he hasn't been popular for like 20 years, Like, that's a big fucking squat. What is there, 10 guys that squat 1,000 in the world? It's not that common.
Burley Hawk's total, by the way, too, when he just added it up.
It is 2320.
It was 2320. When he added up his 1920 total.
Yeah.
It was just with like 315 on overhead press, which he did for like 16 reps.
Yeah, he could do.
he could probably total well over 2,000.
I wonder what highest total, like a 5-rep max or some shit, Like if people went head to head like
just
that.
Repping out 315, I think it is.
Yeah, I bet you it gets way closer to 4.
Especially if he gets it's a strict press, by the way. Make it even worse.
Yep.
Yeah, a little variation of it.
Little English, who cares?
Yeah.
It's 315 pounds.
What's amazing to me is that he there's no one to compare him to in a lot of the videos. There's no one else in the photo.
Yeah, to see how big or small he is.
So you don't have a good idea of how big he really must be.
He doesn't look that big.
No, he doesn't.
But he's alone. Yeah.
But that's also probably to kind of say that he's probably not fat.
True.
Probably has some fat on him, just like any other big powerlifter like that. But he probably doesn't look like Chad Wesley Smith fat. You know what I mean? You ever seen Chad Wesley Smith?
Never, not once.
My wife had a great quote after we saw Chad Wesley Smith at the CrossFit Games. We're walking back to our car. She's like, "Yeah, it's probably not a good idea to show up to CrossFit Games if you weigh 400 pounds."
Chad did just squat 840 for 3 or sleeves or something.
He's been smashing all kinds of. He's always kind of in the hunt. He's a talented athlete. He was a track athlete, and I think he had a good run to. If he pursued it for long enough and was able to stay healthy, who knows what he was able to do with that.
Pause. 705 front squat. What? Yeah, that's very strong. What happened to Derek Kendall? Someone asked that on Instagram a while ago.
Did Derek Kendall front squat like 800 pounds?
Yeah, I think
something like that. Yeah.
That's why
I think he disappeared from the internet a little bit. Like I think he wiped out his Instagram account.
I was gonna say I haven't seen anything, but he was on a fucking tear for a while.
The last time I saw him
crazy.
was Boss of Bosses last year, and I talked to him. He, that's
he's
been it.
Disappeared a little bit.
He was a good dude. He was an animal. I mean, he came to our meet and he legitimately squatted the all-time world record, but then he stumbled backwards a little bit and kind of hurt his
quad.
Hurt his leg a little bit. John Wellborn posted up something that I saw just a couple days ago where he said he posted up an article that was written by somebody in Sports Illustrated talking about the death of football because of what's going on with all the head injuries and stuff. And there's that movie with Will Smith called Concussion. And it's been amazing, all the information coming out. You had Junior Seau fucking blow himself away by shooting himself in the chest. You have other guys who are literally doing almost the same thing, shooting themselves in the head. A lot of it is connected to, or at least they feel is, they have enough information to say it's connected to the brain injuries, and the brain injuries are leading to these guys. I guess in a sense being like bipolar, and having these mental health issues.
What do you think about like Chris Benoit had not a similar story, but kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
And everyone blames it on steroids.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But like,
First of all, I always like to point out because I think it's irresponsible of people. Steroids are a drug, and they're dangerous. Like, so that's always important to point out. Like, anything you're going to put in your body that's from the outside world has
some
potential
effect,
to be dangerous, other than like some of the natural foods that were pretty much meant and designed
but
to
even
eat.
knows, right? You have
Yeah,
1,000 bananas.
Sometimes you have an
whatever.
allergy. Yeah. Sometimes you have an
Shit could
allergy
fuck
to
you
it.
up.
Yeah.
Steroids can be dangerous, and I do think that they can affect your personality. So I think that if you're a loose cannon, they could potentially make you worse. I also feel like for some people, in my experience, for some people, I've seen it be a little bit of a gateway drug for people, because then their guard is down and like, fuck it, they do a little bit of this, they do a little bit of that.
Well, even within
And they
steroids,
start-
right? Like
yeah.
there's levels to everything. Like there's a little bit of fat burner.
And getting steroids, you're getting it from a drug dealer,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that person might be peddling other shit.
It's the distribution system.
Or a lot of times people that do steroids, a lot of times they sell them.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be news to anybody.
People talk about drugs not being physiologically addictive, but they may be mentally addictive. And who cares if the word addictive is even being brought up, right? Like if you're taking this much testosterone and you love what it does to you and you have an addictive personality, you're going to take that much more.
That you say something's not addictive,
Right, it is.
It probably
Yeah.
has the capability
Right.
of being so.
Self-esteem addictive, I guess. Maybe
Right,
is a-
whatever
is a
you-
good way to put it. People who define themselves by their strength or by
Looks,
their physique
and,
or
and
whatever.
I think every human being has a little bit of that. Like, oh, I feel and look better.
Yeah.
Then you're going to want to look and feel even
Think about
better.
a 10-pound shift in body weight, like 10 pounds extra
Yeah.
muscle and
Yeah.
maybe 5 pounds of extra fat. How much better are you going to look?
Yeah, you get a
that
little
way?
bit more attention,
And
whatever
then,
it might be.
and then what if you come off stuff and you flip flop the other way?
Yeah.
Like that's a terrible feeling.
Right.
Shoulders a little smaller, belly's a little bigger.
Right.
Like it's awful.
So
for
like
me.
alcohol or everything else in controlled doses and controlled situations, sure, maybe it's fine, but then you start to get addicted to it or whatever, and you start taking more and more and more, yeah, of course something's going to be affected. My point being is NFL, WWE, all these places that your head gets hit a lot, and all these places that steroids may or may not be involved. I'm not pointing fingers, but somebody's probably taking it, right? That combination of maybe taking too much of this, let alone you hear about WWE and NFL similarly about prescription drugs and alcohol and the kind of the rock star lifestyle.
Painkillers, muscle relaxers.
Right? So you get all these things, let alone these minor concussion brain trauma that this guy, studied, which actually I only watched half the movie. It just got too late. I went to bed. But it was actually, I liked it. I thought it would suck. I thought it would be too lame.
That guy's in Sacramento now.
That's what I heard, or Lodi or something, right? Maybe Stockton.
I think he's close. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. But it was super cool. He just moved with his wife or something.
Yeah.
But it was a cool story. It seemed like a pretty decent movie. I just like Will Smith. But anyways, you get all these things together. Like, it sounds like a fucking bad recipe.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster.
Or even powerlifting,
Yeah.
like every time you see stars, like that's one definition of a concussion. You get all these mini concussions, right? Something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, like every time you do a real heavy deadlift, maybe you feel like you're gonna pass out.
Right.
Or something along those lines. Maybe sometimes you do a squat and your form is bad and you get a crazy kind of rush to your head or a headache. And the logical thing would be to stop doing that.
Yeah.
But who's going to? The answer is nobody. Everyone wants to keep getting better. But back to answer your exact question about like Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit, I think he probably had mental health issues for several years.
Yeah, before anything.
The highs and lows are really weird to deal with, and our guy Luke Hawk can definitely talk about that. Having experienced wrestling in front of so many people and getting a huge response from a crowd, and then going home and having to take out the garbage and be a dad, and be a husband is having girls lined up at hotels and stuff for you. And then you go home and you got to be like a normal person. It's not going to happen. Like it's not all that logical for somebody to be able to maintain that for a long time. There's a lot of things that end up kind of fucking with your head aside from something like a steroid. But in Chris Benoit's situation, I think he probably did have multiple concussions, probably over 20, maybe if not more like 100, that he probably did or didn't know about, most of them. And I think he had other recreational drugs involved as well. But drugs don't make you kill anybody, and a gun's not going to make you kill anybody necessarily. It's a combination of things that are going on in your life. When I was a kid, there was a guy in my area who drank, and then he went to a railroad track, and he just waited till the train took him and took his ass out, it was alcohol. Alcohol was involved, but alcohol didn't make like
you and I have been drunk and we didn't do that.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily say just one incident.
And we, furthermore, we've been bummed out. We've had bad things happen, and we may have even drank in those situations, and we still didn't.
Yeah.
You know, so it's there's something much deeper going on with somebody that's going to kill their own family and then kill themselves.
Yeah.
The good news is that, you know, if there is any good news out of a terrible situation like that, is that the WWE
brought some awareness,
took it upon themselves to try to make the whole entire organization healthier, which is a great move.
Yeah.
It feels like the more people you know, the more we realize that there's a lot of personality disorder out there in the world, and a lot of people who are just barely keeping their shit together. And
that's very
I guess
true.
it's not surprising.
That actually makes a lot of sense. So when you're young, you think everybody's perfect.
Yeah.
You think you look up to your uncle and your aunt, and then you hear they had all these problems. And this happened and that happened. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
You start hearing people's backstories, and you're like, oh, jeez.
Yeah. And some, like Mark talks about all the time, is like regardless of how you're built or brought up, sometimes you just got to like throw it behind you and be kind of a different person or be an adult. And sometimes maybe it's the situation. Maybe you can't overcome it, or maybe sometimes it's you and you can't overcome it. You know, like it's hard to say. It's all this nature versus nurture stuff, right? But sometimes maybe the situation is that extreme and you can't live a normal life.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the truth. But at the same time, I do think that one thing that I love about training is that you're training your whole body, you're training your whole system, and you can literally train yourself for anything. There's nothing that the human body like can't do. There's so many things there's so many bad habits you can train yourself out of. You can train yourself out of self-pity. Every time you feel fucking sorry for yourself, you can pick yourself back up. You can figure out a song, a video, a friend, somebody to communicate with, somebody to talk to get you out of that fucking slump, or just man up and grow up. You know, you hear people kind of say toughen up all the time and things like that, but really, literally, it is just that. Like, you know, you want to try to have a better life, you want to try to optimize your life, then fucking do so. You know, get out of bed with like a newfound purpose. You know, not every day is going to be fucking happy, and every day is going to be filled with rainbows and everything, but pop out of bed with some goals, and like, you know, rather than like slump your way out of bed, actually physically kind of pop up and be like, I'm fucking ready for the day, rather than you slump out of bed, you're like, fuck, my ankle hurts and this sucks and my phone's dead and one thing after another snowballs on top of itself, and then you're behind for the whole day and super frustrated with yourself.
I think it all comes down to self-awareness, which is also, you know, it just sucks that some people have and some people don't.
Yeah.
If you're self-aware of your weaknesses, either you work on them or you hide them or you work around them. And some people can't even see that, right? Like on a superficial level, some people think they're fat, some people think they're skinny, you know, like, but then it's at a deeper level. Like some people think like, oh no, I don't have an issue with making excuses. So some people think, oh, I don't have an issue with reading, or I don't have an issue with this. And you just need to be aware of it and then work around it.
Yeah, there's an approach, going back to what Mark was saying, there's an approach called cognitive therapy, where basically you try to be aware of the negative things that you tell yourself and try to turn it around and tell yourself positive things.
Yeah.
Not like bullshit positive things, but like legitimate positive things that you could back up if you actually think about it. And doing that over and over ultimately makes people feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some things that cognitive therapy really is the only thing that works very well for, you know? So if you can start a day thinking about a positive thing,
right,
and you're going to have a better day. The other thing that they do is a lot of what happens with depression is that people decide that doing a particular thing, anything, has minimum rewards or might have a negative effect, and being able to have a string of experiences that countermand that in your mind, so that, you know, you do a thing and it'll feel like if I'm not going to clean my whole room, but I'm going to pick up everything up off the floor. Oh, that actually looks better.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next
you
thing.
feel better.
The next thing. Yeah.
And having some realistic goals that you can knock out.
Yeah.
You know, rather than like setting the bar too high. But just back to, you know, the whole thing that we started talking about in the beginning of football. You know, like football dies, many other people are going to die too. Like, I love football. You know, every year it comes around, I get super excited. I wish I could watch more of it because, you know, as a kid, I couldn't absorb enough of it. It didn't matter if it was a college game on or a high school game or anything. I'd watch any of it. I still watch most of the NFL draft. I know other people that are that hyped up about it too. Anytime there's any like training for football or any of that kind of stuff, I fucking eat it up. I love watching it. I'll watch SportsCenter 4 or 5 times in a row, just to kind of watch the same fucking highlights over and over again of the same teams. You know, like I love football.
Does anybody watch SportsCenter just once?
No, I don't.
It's like eating Lay's potato chips.
I think I don't think it'll change us though, because so they say it's dying, and what they mean by that is like the talent level may go down because less kids are playing it, less college talent, right? But like it's like kind of like powerlifting. Like we don't know what's out there, so it doesn't matter. And we're you can't compare to the top. Like we can't see. All right, Odell Beckham did this 360 fucking one hand grab into the end zone. Well, another guy's still gonna do that.
Right.
It's like. Because if all the talent level kind of goes down, it's like watching a college game and watching an NBA game. You can watch a college game and you're like, damn, these guys are good. But then they go against Kobe and then they look like shit. Right. But it's only until they go against Kobe do they look like shit. You know what I mean? Like if the whole level goes down, we won't be able to tell.
Yeah, well, and also too, if they start to pay them less, I mean, if they start
that could be an
there's
issue.
like less people and stuff. Well, it probably won't be because the lifestyle they live is so high that if they started paying the guys that are playing right now less money, that would have an effect. But if they start to league-wide start to pay people less over a period of time, it might not hurt us that bad.
I don't think it'll ever get to the point where the actual attendance or the actual there's like, so how many people get drafted in the NFL? There's 7 or 9 rounds. And so that's whatever, say 500 people, I don't know.
There's
500 people get drafted.
300, I think.
Yeah. There's never going to be. Me and you will go try out. You know what I mean? There's always going to be people that want to go do it.
And it'll just, if anything, it would just go backwards. It would go back to people making $30,000 and playing, and playing for that.
The thing I wonder about, there was a ruling this week about.
But what if it got outlawed? I guess is the point.
Then things get right, just like a drug or dangerous.
They'd have to come up with something to replace it. I don't know what it would be, but
I mean, there's still basketball, baseball. Who knows? Maybe soccer moves in, right? Soccer's just as popular everywhere else.
Yeah, maybe so. But there was a ruling this week about graduate assistants in colleges and universities, that they are employees and that they have the right to unionize. I just wonder if that's going to impact the college sports. Because it seems, I mean, that's not a big jump.
Well, and that's a big talk all the time, right? About college guys, how much money is running through Alabama and LSU and some of these big Notre Dame, these big programs, and none of the kids get any benefit besides school, which is a benefit. But besides that,
but you could see that unionizing
easy.
Yeah. Could be a players' association for college
story
sports.
of like. The University of Michigan is making all that money off the Fab Five.
Yeah.
And then Chris Webber wasn't even able to afford his own jersey if he wanted to go buy one from the bookstore.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they sold a couple thousand of them or whatever it was.
He doesn't have that problem now, but if he'd been injured,
his career was over.
Yeah,
his career, and
no one was going to take care of him.
Now, I do think that some of the stuff you hear that comes from the information that has come from all this is kind of asinine and kind of stupid because. Years ago, people would say, oh, well, we didn't know cigarettes were dangerous. It's like, well, how the fuck did you not know cigarettes were dangerous? Because if you give a cigarette to an 8-year-old kid and have them inhale it, what are they going to do?
Yeah, cough.
Fucking cough all over the place. They're going to feel like they die. What if your house goes on fire and there's a lot of smoke in the house?
You pass out
that smoke doesn't feel great. You know that getting hit in the fucking head's not healthy. Like, that there's a risk involved. So for people to try to blame the NFL because they highlight, guys getting their heads knocked off is kind of ridiculous. I mean, it wouldn't be any different if in the NBA they were saying, oh, well, you're highlighting all these dunks, and that's why these guys have these hip and ankle surgeries all the time because that's all you ever highlight.
You're not allowed to dunk anymore.
You're not showing layups and three-pointers and stuff. I mean, I think that everybody kind of recognizes that getting hit in the head is not a great idea. And that if you were to swipe at somebody, swing at somebody, what are they going to do? They're going to put their hands up or try to move their head.
Yeah.
If you try to smack somebody in the face or try to punch them or something like that, your body knows that.
Yeah,
your body has adapted over the years to recognize that that's dangerous. A baseball comes flying at your head, you move out of the way, right? Like your body recognizes that that's dangerous. And so for somebody to come up with a bunch of literature saying, hey, I figured out that because you guys are slamming your heads together upwards of 70 times a game, you guys are actually doing some damage to your head.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, are you kidding me?
It's just how extreme it is, I guess, because it is really extreme. Like, you know, at least how they portray it in the movie and what you hear in the news. Like, these guys go straight psycho. You know, it seems like some of these guys go, like, bath salts psycho, you know, like really, really bad. So I think it's how extreme, rather than, like, if you told the same guys, like, hey, your chance of Alzheimer's when you're 70 is 50% higher now, they'd probably be like, fuck it, we'll still play football. But if you're saying, like, hey, when you're 40, you may go ape shit and we can't control you. You know, right?
Thing,
so that's a little different. And I think the only way to solve it, which I don't think they will or should, would just be to totally change the sport. You watch something like rugby, which is literally, I know people are like, oh, there's no pads, but like it's 100 times safer. Like the tackling rules, the blocking rules.
One, they have less equipment.
So you are already not going to want to smash somebody when you have nothing on your head. It's going to be a little bit different, but then you're also not allowed to.
So in the United States, you know, the football was almost outlawed when it at its inception because people died because they didn't have equipment. They barely had a helmet. People were hitting each other. You know, people were hitting each other's heads. I don't know what the solve is for it. I do think that the awareness of the concussions is fantastic. I think that that's really smart, and I think that you see it. It's actually been so effective that you see it in other sports now. Yeah. Even baseball, two people slide into each other. People are like, well, there's a possibility that somebody could have a concussion. You know, let's check them out.
There have been a lot of concussions in the last couple of years in baseball.
Okay, you know what? Sorry, but you're out for the week. You know, and those are the decisions that are important. That I think that you know, Tom Brady gets a concussion, that can't be swept under the rug. You know, those are things that are important, and the player is never going to make the right decision. They're not. They're going to want to play. They're going to want to be out there. Our guy Josh Emmett, right, with the busted finger.
Yeah, you want to go.
I want to keep fighting.
Yeah,
I got 2 more minutes, and this is my shot.
This is my chance. They're never going to make the right decision. They're going to always want to press forward. They're going to always, because you're going by, and same thing with me tearing my pec. You're going by how you feel. And how you feel is not an accurate account of anything that's actually happening.
Health or not.
Like if Mike comes to me and says, "Oh man, you know my hamstring's really tight," and he warms up really well, and he does some squats, and he pulls the sled, and he does A, B, and C, and then he starts deadlifting. He deadlifts 405, and I'll say, "How do you feel?" What's he going to say? He's going to say, "I feel fucking awesome. I actually feel better than normal."
Yeah,
it's because he's kind of blocked out his hamstring. Plus, he's warmed up properly, and now he quote unquote feels pretty good. He feels like an animal. Now he's going to try 700, and boom, there goes his hamstring.
You should take the cue of how you actually feel in the beginning.
Right.
Well, one of our former members, one of our early members, who was risking his eyesight every time he came in to lift. And
that was crazy.
Yeah, due to an autoimmune condition.
I mean, we used to joke about catching his eyeball.
Yeah, exactly. And they looked like they were coming out of his head.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, I said, dude, no one here is going to stop you.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't stop yourself, nobody's going to stop you.
We don't know how you feel.
Because we don't know. We don't understand what's going on. Only you understand what's going on. And that's when the first time he just stopped coming in because he knew he was doing damage. And when he got in here, there was no way to stop himself.
Yeah. It's a tough environment to not want to
go.
To not want to push hard.
Yeah.
Who do you got this year in football, Mike?
I haven't paid attention to anything. We have our first super training fantasy league, so I got a draft coming up. Yeah, I got to win that.
I heard about that.
I got to win that.
See, like, so if football dies, and everybody's fantasy league dies, and everything else dies.
I actually think fantasy is genius based on that. It makes you be less of a fan.
Is it possible that we just watch 2 people play a video game, Madden football?
So I think that already happens. You know, like in Korea and stuff, they watch a lot of football leagues. I think video game leagues. I think the first video game league is going to go on Spike TV this year here in America. Yeah. That's going to be huge. It's going to be very possible because it is entertaining if you love that game, right? Like you. Like watching football isn't the same as you playing it, but you love the game so much you want to watch it. If you really love Call of Duty, like really love it, you're going to want to watch it too. You're going to watch the best play it so you can pick up their shit.
I mean, the video game version is not all that much different. There's a lot of strategy involved, and there's
tons.
a lot of...
And it looks cool now. There's lights, there's music. Like the graphics are nuts. I don't know, man. It would be cool for our boy Coach House to get a fucking title. So I'd like the Panthers to go again. But you never know. I mean, you can never count out the Patriots.
Or the Seahawks.
Yeah. The Seahawks are really good, man.
I know there's a lot of
Even Green Bay. I like Aaron Rodgers a lot.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Rodgers, like, if I was a quarterback, I'd want to be like him. You know, like athletic, but brains.
He's
kind
very
of
athletic, very fast.
Yeah, I like Andrew Luck a lot. Hopefully
Luck
he has a
is
better
fast.
year. He had kind of a jacked up year.
Yeah.
I like Andrew Luck a lot. Same idea. I feel like they're like a Peyton Manning-esque where they kind of pick apart the game in their brain.
So what you're saying is that you're more interested in the individual athletes than you are in teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Browns fan, so it's hard.
I don't think any sport has ever done that better than football.
Yeah, it's true.
Football is the
Yeah.
king,
It's
which
just-
is weird because they have so much padding on and helmets.
Yeah, you
They're
can't see 'em.
covered up. You can't even see them, but they've done a better job than anybody. The NBA,
They do okay.
They had Jordan, and they had some opportunities. And they did well with some of that stuff.
It's not distributed as well in the NBA. That's part of it. You know, that I was listening to Malcolm Gladwell a couple weeks ago talking about some sports are leader sports and some sports are like the grunt level sport.
Yeah.
So like if in basketball, you can safely spend a lot of money on 2 or 3 good players or 1 or 2 good players, and you will raise your win percentage.
You fill in pieces in between cheap.
Whereas with like a game like soccer, your money is better spent on getting lower level players that are better than your previous lower level players.
Median is more important. Is that?
Yeah.
And it's kind of same with football. Median is important, but you need a really good quarterback.
He called it strong link versus weak link. So basketball is a strong link sport, and soccer's a weak link sport.
Yeah. Hey, even baseball, I guess, is strong link. Yeah, like you need a fucking pitcher, and you need some guys that can hit.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more in the middle.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't have a mega weak link.
Yeah.
But there's literally guys in basketball. It's a little different now, but like in the 90s, like there's guys like just don't play offense. Like they just can't fucking shoot.
Right.
You know, they just can't fucking shoot at all.
Right, and then other guys that don't play defense at all.
Yeah.
They just
They're very mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a Browns fan, so it's kind of hard to
I
be
think the Jets
excited.
are going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
They got a good quarterback.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Kansas City's supposed to be pretty good this year.
Alex Smith still in Kansas City?
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Smith's good.
He's done great for them.
Yeah.
He's been amazing.
Yeah, he's a very
It's about
underrated
finding
guy.
the right spot. Like you take any of these great quarterbacks, if they ended up on a shit team, or any of these great coaches. I mean, Belichick was with the Browns. The Browns wouldn't let him do what he needed to do, and so he was not unable to execute. Being great.
That's a little different in the NFL as well as or football in general. Is like the players have to match the system.
Yeah.
It's important in basketball, but it's not as important. Like if you're a fucking ridiculous good player, you'll be fine. But if Tom Brady was in a different system, he could not be the Tom Brady we know.
Yeah, Tom Brady's. He's been amazing for so long. It's interesting how many different receivers he's been able
running
to hit
backs,
over
everybody.
the years. And Peyton Manning ended up being the same way, but it took him a lot longer. He had kind of a thing going, when he was with the Colts, and he hit up certain receivers for long periods of time. But it's amazing to see the progression over the years of Tom Brady. So many different players that he's had, and the progression of that team. They're always hanging around at the end of the year, every single year, no matter who the hell's on their team. Somehow I don't know how the fuck they do it.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Adrian Peterson playing?
Yeah, Adrian Peterson's supposed to be back in action, feeling good.
What drives me crazy about some websites? Like I'm just trying to get anybody's predictions.
Yeah, just like a list of 1 to
and
30.
I'm getting videos. I don't give a shit. I don't want to watch your video, especially not right now.
I give a quick shout out to Thomas Thornton, who won the Slangermobile. We ran a Slangermobile competition, and he ended up. We had 2 different rounds of it. People submitted videos, and he submitted the 2 best videos. You can check those videos out on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/supertraining06. And shout out to him. He did a great job. The first one that he did was kind of his whole day was surrounded by super training gym, and he wakes up in the morning and his alarm clock goes off and it says it's National Ed Cone Day. And then I think I end up somehow being the president of the United States and Silent Mike's the vice president. And there's something running on the bottom of the screen that says that Omar Asmuff was last seen still off the team. All this just kind of funny, silly stuff that he did. He put me on the front of a box of Wheaties, which was funny. And then his second version that he did, the second video that he put together was just a YouTube theme called Draw My Life, where people many YouTubers have done it before, and it was just really cool and impressive seeing him just draw out me from the time I was a kid all the way until now. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot
Appreciate
of effort put in.
It's awesome.
And we're going to be flying him out here pretty soon and handing over the Slinger Mobile, and he'll work his way back to Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, long drive.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hopefully it doesn't bust on the way.
Makes it to top.
Goes up in flames.
So USA Today says
Raiders in the wild card.
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually
Hey now.
go division by division.
Aren't the Raiders
here.
like going to move to Vegas or some shit?
Yeah,
What's going on with that?
potentially,
Is that a true
yeah.
story?
The Rams are in LA. That'll be cool.
Yeah. Rams back in LA.
Where are they going to play? Do we know? USC or something?
You know what? I don't remember.
I know they're making a stadium in Inglewood, but it's not ready.
Inglewood.
They're not back in the Coliseum, are they? Maybe they are.
Maybe for this year.
Yeah. USA Today says Giants take the NFC East.
Really?
Packers
Oh,
take
really?
the
Giants,
North.
huh? Eli.
How about Eli, the banana suit? You guys see that?
The whole family's funny. I didn't see it, though.
We'll pull it up in a minute. It's amazing.
Panthers in the South. Cardinals in the West. With
L.A. Rams.
Cardinals. The Cardinals. Don't forget about the damn Cardinals.
The defense.
I know. They're really good.
When the Niners end up in the toilet of the NFC West.
Carson Palmer, right? As on
Patriots in the East.
I think still Carson Palmer, yeah.
He's amazing.
I think
Carson.
what's his name will have another big year or even bigger year.
Steelers.
Raiders quarterback.
Steelers
Is
are
it David
always
Carr? Derek Carr.
Yeah.
That guy will go nuts, I bet.
Yeah.
So what did I say here? Steelers in the North.
Hey, what do they have the Browns record at? Something terrible?
Oh, yeah.
1 in 15.
Come on.
That's crazy.
Time to pick a different team.
How about our
Michael.
boy JJ Watt?
Yeah, J.J. Watt's going to go
J.J.
nuts.
Watt's
As
up.
always.
Yeah, he always kills it.
I'll predict that the Browns will win more than one game. Fuck you, buddy.
Texas and then Houston Texans in the AFC South.
I mean, this guy's full of bad news. Whoever wrote this?
And
Raiders 10-6.
Raiders in the AFC West.
Raiders have
And-
not won 10 games in a long time.
No. And he's got the Steelers versus Cardinals in the Super Bowl. Who is this, just out of curiosity? Nate Davis.
There you go, Nate Davis. There's your shout out.
Hey, what
buddy.
about the kid from Stanford? The running back from Stanford? You ever seen that kid?
They just get drafted this year?
No, he's still on the team this year. He was, I think, like runner-up for the Heisman last year. He's white.
No way.
Fucking white running back.
What's his name too, right? Is it Toby Gerhardt?
Yeah.
He was from Stanford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was solid.
Yeah, he was really good.
White guy's coming back.
Yeah, white. See if we can pull up Eli Manning in the banana suit. It's fucking hilarious. It's like a commercial or something. I don't know. It's random. At first, you don't know that it's him, and it's just. I don't know. It's awkward. Oh, is it DirecTV commercial?
DirecTV,
Oh,
yeah.
there you go. So you find a video.
Watch
of it.
Eli Manning dance in a banana suit.
So weird.
Those of you who have not seen this, you gotta check it out. It's amazing. There he is. I need to get that for Halloween.
Yeah, it looks like just a random white guy for a second.
Yeah, it's so random. It's just real quick.
He's
but
not wearing a shirt under it. Makes
Yeah.
me, well, yeah, I guess he's
well,
wearing
and
shorts,
the
so you can
banana
see the
coming
shorts.
out in the front is really inappropriate.
Yeah, it's got a nice angle to it.
They the video I saw, it wasn't even part of this like commercial.
It
It
was
just
just
it was just
Oh
on
my
loop,
God.
and it went on for like 5 minutes straight.
Oh my God, the whole front of it is. You're right. Yeah, it's sticking up there.
Yeah,
Good job, Eli.
nice banana, Eli.
Your
man.
comeback, buddy.
Is that a banana, or are you just really happy to see us?
What you got going on with your training this week, Silent Mike?
I don't know. Chilling a little bit.
What?
Deadlift competition.
Say
with
what?
caffeine and kilos.
Oh.
So I've been training my face off. So I got pretty.
I don't know if you're aware
I
of
got
this.
pretty tired.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but I know you wanted to lift in it, but we actually have you written down to sing.
I'll be fine. I'll MC.
national anthem.
Yeah, I'll sing it.
Well, Colin Kaepernick will be sitting through it.
Yeah,
just
I'll sing.
so you know.
I'll MC it and then I'll lift. I'll do it all.
I don't know if dancing's part of it, but
Triple
I
threat.
know that we had you down for singing for sure. Maybe
Triple threat.
Maybe you're singing and Charlie Zamora's dancing. I forgot how it worked.
Sign me up.
Exactly.
Want to see Charlie Zamora moonwalk while you're singing.
He probably could.
Charlie's
He
pretty
can do
athletic.
He can do a backflip.
Yeah, he's pretty athletic. Moonwalk's talent.
So you're gonna deadlift in this competition?
I guess so.
Jesus Christ! What about a curl or something? No.
That's why I thought it was strict curl, just a pull competition, but
You and Fat Dan standing back to back doing curls.
strict curl off. 225 for rep.
CT Fletcher judging you.
Yeah, no, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. See, there
That'd
we
be
go.
amazing.
But yeah, I think Bart's coming to it, right?
The whole crew's coming up.
Fat Wesley Smith is gonna be there.
Yep. Max Aida's coming up.
Max Aisha is gonna be there.
Yeah. Oh,
Yo.
It's
Aisha.
gonna be.
We had James Smith here. We didn't talk about Max at all.
Oh yeah. I think they lived together for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That must have been disgusting.
Yeah, imagine those conversations.
Must have been really hard when they broke up.
Yeah, Max is coming up. Who knows who else will be?
Do you
next?
guys see the comments on James Smith? They're amazing.
Poor guy.
Oh yeah, people were ripping him a new one. Some of them were really funny though. I thought.
YouTube's just brutal.
I liked a lot of them. I do think that people, they should just have a little bit more of an open mind. That way we can expand who we have on the show. Because it'd be great to have, a fucking heart surgeon and a brain surgeon and a this and a that and different types of people on here.
Dr. Oz.
Other than Pete Rubish talking about 3 sets of 3 on deadlifts or something like that. It's just good to have some variety to it. But the feedback is always good, regardless. People.
I think it's mostly YouTube is the issue.
Yeah. Well, and then when people,
our audio people liked it.
Yeah, when people make a comment, usually when people make a comment on YouTube, a lot of times it's either negative or it's like a joke.
Right.
And there's not a ton of positive commentary. Every once in a while, somebody will say, "Hey, this really helped," but usually the person that takes the energy to type is usually someone who's like Matt.
It's just human nature. That's why same on Yelp. It takes somebody a lot to be like, "Oh man, this was a great restaurant," rather than it's really easy for people like, "This service fucking sucked."
And
Right.
Reddit.
Yeah.
I do think also too when people see, there's another video from James because we have a second podcast coming with him. But when people see some of the videos, I think it'll really help clarify a lot of things he's saying. I think what you have to keep in mind with somebody like that is he's obviously like hyper analytical and maybe to a fault. But what he's always trying to do is just cover his bases on what he's saying.
Yeah.
So that way it's never taken out of context, And sometimes, he does use some big words. And he does lose you here and there.
He speaks a little different than us.
I think that he's one of those guys whose brain is moving so fast that he sometimes has to slow things down in his speech to make sure that he's gonna make sense at all. But he doesn't have the extra time to dumb the vocabulary down.
Yeah, hanging out with him in person is probably way different than watching him on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
that's
he's,
awesome.
He's very likable.
He's
guy.
awesome. I like him a lot.
I don't. Anyway, people are stupid. I do have to share this stupid thing. Speaking of Yelp, I went to this restaurant that was well reviewed on Yelp, and my wife had been there last year. And when we were there this week, it was terrible. It was really, really awful. But by the restrooms, they had this on the wall and hung just exactly this way.
What is that?
It is
a guy bench pressing.
It's a woman. It's a woman bench pressing, but it's hung upside down.
That's amazing.
I will throw.
Oh, I
this
see
out
it
on the
now.
video
My eyes
version.
are a little tweaking out. That's pretty dope.
But it's
just at a random restaurant.
really upside down.
Yeah, I'll put that in my house.
It was a whole series like this.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
She's benching with like an apron on.
Well, it's. I think it's a
it might
whole
be
kimono
Joey.
thing. Yeah, and then but also earbuds.
Kind of sends you
and
the message that bitches should still be in the kitchen.
earbuds.
Make
and
me a sandwich, Joey. No,
earbuds and a iPhone on her arm.
Yeah,
I was kidding, lady.
And a headset.
7 lady
And-
listeners like I can't believe he
We're
said
down.
that.
We're down to 3.
I know. Sorry.
Feminist ladies left.
It was a joke.
Yeah, I can't.
I
get it
do
to
like a
stand.
sandwich though.
Yeah, I am hungry.
All right, I think that's it. You guys got anything else to say? Anything else
I
going
don't
on?
have anything else.
That's it, and that's all.
You got anything, Mike? What are you doing? Nothing?
Nothing. I'm gonna go find a burrito.
All right, Mike's off the team. It's official. Multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle. May all your shits be tapered. I'm at Mark Smellybell on Instagram and Twitter. Later.
Huge shout out to all our sponsors, 8Man Strong Apparel at 8manstrong.com, bodybuilding.com for all your supplement needs, Urban Ice Organics to connect your mind and body at naturalorganics.com, increase your bench press at how much
Get over here, Joey.
bench.net, Power, the only strength magazine available in both digital print at thepowermagazine.com.
Hi, everyone.
And get lost. I'm Silent Mike everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I'm out of here.
I'm Jim McD, STTV, everywhere that I want you to find me. Follow the show on Instagram. We are Mark Bell's PowerCast.
Hell yeah.
Mark Bell's PowerCast is a production of supertraining.tv.